When you think of baseball injuries, you probably imagine torn ACLs, shattered wrists, or high-speed collisions at home plate. But what if I told you that some players were taken out by a sneeze, a sandwich, or even a dream about spiders? Today, we're diving into 14 of the most bizarre and unbelievable injuries in MLB history. The kind that make you say, wait, that actually happened. Moises Alou's treadmill tumble. Moises Alou was coming off a stellar 1998 season, having hit .312 with 38 home runs and 124 RBIs for the Houston Astros. A vital part of the team's offense, he was expected to continue his dominance in 1999, until a treadmill changed everything. During spring training, while rehabbing a minor hamstring issue, Alou was using a treadmill when he lost his balance and fell, jamming his knee in the process. The fall didn't just hurt, it aggravated the injury to the point that he required surgery and missed the entire 1999 season. It was a crushing blow for both Alou and the Astros, who had counted on his bat in the heart of the lineup. In a sport where athletes train for every scenario on the field, this unexpected off-field mishap served as a painful reminder that even the safest routines can derail a career, one misstep at a time. Glenolin Hill's nightmare on Spider Street. Glenolin Hill was built like a tank and swung the bat like a wrecking ball. Yet what sidelined him wasn't a 90 miles per hour pitch or a diving catch gone wrong. It was a bad dream. Hill suffered one of baseball's most bizarre injuries when he crashed through a glass table while sleepwalking. The reason? He was having a night terror about spiders, a phobia he had openly admitted. The resulting cuts and bruises were significant enough to put him on the injured list. It happened while he was with the Toronto Blue Jays, and it shocked both fans and teammates. This wasn't just a funny story. Hill's injuries were serious, and it could have been far worse. Still, once he recovered, he went on to play one of his best statistical seasons, hitting .297 and launching balls onto rooftops. Yet, no matter how many home runs he hit, Glenolin Hill will always be remembered as the guy who lost a fight to an imaginary spider. Sammy Sosa's sneezing saga. In the early 2000s, Sammy Sosa was a household name, a home run machine known for his signature hop and explosive bat speed, but in 2004, it wasn't an inside pitch or outfield wall that knocked him out of the game, it was a sneeze. Actually, two. While in the clubhouse getting ready for a game, Sosa unleashed a powerful double sneeze that triggered severe back spasms. The episode strained a ligament in his lower back and landed him on the disabled list. At the time, Sosa was under pressure, both from injuries and from critics questioning his waning power and involvement in the steroid era. The sneeze incident only fueled media jokes and late-night monologues. Still, he returned to the lineup weeks later and tried to shake off the bizarre mishap. But in a career filled with towering home runs and epic moments, it's wild that a sneeze, of all things, became one of the most talked-about parts of Sammy Sosa's twilight years. Trevor Bauer versus the Drone of Doom. Trevor Bauer, never one to stick to convention, has always been as known for his analytical brain and off-field hobbies as his fiery pitching. But in 2016, one of those hobbies literally came back to bite him. While tinkering with one of his personal drones, a favorite off-day pastime, Bauer accidentally sliced open his pinky finger on a rotor blade just days before his scheduled start in the American League Championship Series. Instead of dominating on the mound, he was suddenly a national headline. Despite the injury, Bauer insisted on taking the ball for Game 3 against Toronto. But after just 21 pitches, his finger began gushing blood on live television. Trainers scrambled, fans recoiled, and the umpires had no choice but to pull him from the game. The image of blood dripping from his hand became instantly iconic. In a postseason known for big moments, Bauer's drone-inflicted wound stole the spotlight. A sharp reminder that curiosity and propellers don't always mix. Clarence Blethen's denture disaster. Clarence Blethen may not be a household name in baseball, but his injury story lives in infamy. A pitcher from the early 20th century, Blethen had a peculiar habit. He didn't like wearing his false teeth while playing. So before taking the mound, he'd remove them and stick them in his back pocket. That quirky decision turned into a painful disaster during a game when he attempted to steal a base. As he slid into second, the dentures shifted and dug straight into his own backside. The injury was bad enough to require stitches, and the absurdity of the situation made it an instant legend in baseball circles. Blethen never reached Major League stardom, but this bizarre tale guaranteed him a permanent spot in the sport's strangest injury Hall of Fame. And if there's one lesson here, it's that base stealing is risky, especially when you're carrying your teeth in your back pocket. Chris Coughlin's celebration collapse. Chris Coughlin had every reason to celebrate. In July 2010, after teammate Wes Helms hit a dramatic walk-off single for the Florida Marlins, Coughlin decided to go big. As Helms rounded first, Coughlin sprinted toward him and leapt into the air for a celebratory pie-to-the-face ambush, a common prank at the time. But mid-air, Coughlin landed awkwardly, tearing the meniscus in his left knee. The injury was severe enough to require surgery, ending his season prematurely. What made it especially painful for Marlins fans was that Coughlin was the 2009 National League Rookie of the Year and a key part of the team's core. The celebration, meant to be a moment of joy, turned into a season-ending catastrophe. While walk-offs are thrilling, Coughlin's accident became a cautionary tale. In baseball, sometimes the biggest risk comes after the final pitch. Steve Sparks versus the phone book. Steve Sparks wasn't your typical pitcher. Known for his knuckleball and quirky personality, Sparks found himself inspired during a team seminar in 1994, where a motivational speaker ripped a phone book in half to demonstrate focus and strength. Sparks, eager to prove his own might, tried to replicate the feat later that day. The result, a dislocated shoulder and a canceled spring training opportunity with the Milwaukee Brewers. The injury was so unexpected and unnecessary that it shocked the coaching staff. Sparks was on the verge of making the big league roster for the first time in his career. Instead, he spent the next few weeks rehabbing and wondering how a phone book, a relic of analog times, had derailed his MLB dreams. While he eventually made it back to the majors, the story stuck. Who knew the most dangerous thing in his training room wasn't a weight or a bat, but a book? Joba Chamberlain's Trampoline Trauma. As a rising star with the Yankees, Joba Chamberlain was expected to be the team's next bullpen ace. But in March 2012, his career took a troubling turn far from the mound. While playing on a trampoline with his young son, Chamberlain suffered a horrifying ankle injury, a compound fracture so severe that reports initially feared it could be life-threatening. The news stunned Yankees fans. Just months before, Joba had been rehabbing from Tommy John surgery, and now he faced yet another grueling recovery. The incident raised questions about athletes and off-field risk, especially involving activities with children. Though Chamberlain eventually returned to MLB, he was never quite the same. His trampoline misadventure became a darkly ironic chapter in a career defined by early promise and painful detours, all beginning with what should have been a joyful afternoon at home. Hunter Pence and the coffee table takedown. Hunter Pence, one of the game's most animated and energetic players, brought intensity to every play. But in 2014, it wasn't an outfield dive or aggressive slide that took him down. It was a coffee table. While reaching for something in his living room, Pence tripped and crashed into the table, fracturing his forearm. The timing couldn't have been worse. Spring training was underway and he was expected to be a leader for the San Francisco Giants. Pence had been a cornerstone of the Giants clubhouse, helping the team win the World Series in 2012. His injury meant he'd miss the start of the season, breaking his remarkable streak of 383 consecutive games played. The table may not have been wearing a glove or throwing a curveball, but it delivered a hit no one saw coming. For a guy known for hustle and heart, it was a cruel and incredibly domestic twist of fate. Brandon Inge and the backyard beatdown. Brandon Inge was tough, a utility player known for grit, versatility, and throwing his body around the field. But in 2011, his own house became the scene of an unexpected showdown. While roughhousing in the backyard with his young son, Inge took a playful tumble that resulted in a dislocated shoulder. What began as innocent father-son bonding time quickly turned into a painful injury that sidelined him for weeks. At the time, Inge was already battling for a spot in the Tigers lineup and trying to stay healthy. The injury raised eyebrows not just for how it happened, but because of its timing, right in the middle of a crucial stretch in the season. Still, Inge remained upbeat, joking about being taken down by a 4-year-old. In a sport filled with dramatic injuries, this one had a special place. Part sweet, part slapstick, and entirely unforgettable. Wade Boggs and the bathroom blunder. Wade Boggs, a Hall of Famer with over 3,000 career hits and a reputation for pregame routines as precise as his swing, faced one of the strangest off-field mishaps imaginable. In 1993, during his time with the Yankees, Boggs suffered 2 broken ribs, not from a line drive or diving play, but from a bathroom fall. The story goes that Boggs lost his balance while sitting on a slippery toilet seat, fell awkwardly, and cracked his ribs in the process. The injury not only benched him for several games, but also sparked a media frenzy filled with toilet humor and endless punchlines. Boggs was known for his obsessive habits, from eating chicken before every game to taking exactly 150 ground balls in practice, but even he couldn't have predicted a porcelain ambush. For a man who rarely struck out, this was a swing and miss against gravity itself. Marty Cordova and the tanning bed trouble. Marty Cordova, the 1995 AL Rookie of the Year, learned the hard way that even relaxation can be hazardous. In 2002, while with the Baltimore Orioles, Cordova suffered burns on his face after falling asleep in a tanning bed. The injury was serious enough to keep him out of the lineup, as exposure to sunlight could aggravate the damage. Trainers had to carefully monitor his outdoor time during day games. Cordova's injury may have been cosmetic, but it had real implications for his performance and availability. Teammates teased him relentlessly, and the incident quickly became a running joke in clubhouses across the league. Despite his talent and prior achievements, Cordova's tanning bed mishap earned him a permanent spot on the list of MLB's most avoidable injuries. Lesson learned: the sun can be dangerous, even when it's artificial. Milton Bradley's rage-fueled ruin. Milton Bradley was a player of immense talent and intensity, sometimes too much intensity. In 2007, while playing for the San Diego Padres, Bradley's fiery temper got the best of him in a game against the Rockies. During an argument with umpire Mike Winters, manager Bud Black tried to restrain Bradley to keep him from being ejected. In the scuffle, Bradley twisted and tore his ACL, ending his season on the spot. The injury was as dramatic as it was ironic. Bradley wasn't hurt making a diving catch or sliding into second. He was injured while being held back from an ejection. The moment encapsulated the volatility that often defined his career: explosive, emotional, and always a step away from chaos. For fans and teammates, it was a reminder that sometimes the biggest threat to a player's health isn't the opposing team. It's his own boiling point. Dustin May's crisis over a salad. Dustin May, the flame-throwing right-hander for the Los Angeles Dodgers, faced one of the most surreal medical emergencies in MLB history, and it started with a salad. In July 2024, May was enjoying a routine meal when he swallowed a shard of lettuce that punctured his esophagus. The internal injury was so severe it required emergency surgery that opened his entire abdominal cavity. Doctors acted quickly to prevent life-threatening complications. The pitcher, known for his high-velocity arsenal and fiery red hair, was suddenly battling far more than batters. He was fighting to recover from a freak accident few could imagine. The surgery left him with a massive scar and a long road of recovery, both physical and mental. For a player trained to handle pressure on the mound, it was a moment of vulnerability that underscored just how fragile the line is between control and chaos, even at the dinner table. Baseball has always been a game full of surprises, but sometimes the strangest moments happen far from the diamond. From trampoline tumbles to toothy disasters, these bizarre injuries remind us that the unexpected is part of what makes the game so unforgettable. If you enjoyed this wild ride through baseball's oddest mishaps, don't forget to hit that like button, share the video with a fellow fan, and subscribe for more unbelievable stories from the history of the game. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.